You know that feeling when you look around your life and it seems like things are moving forward? Maybe your salary is higher than it was 5 years ago. Maybe your apartment is nicer. Your phone is newer. Your car is, well, at least not the same one you had in college. From the outside, it looks like progress. Your parents see it. Your friends see it. Social media definitely sees it. But then there's that quiet moment, usually late at night, when the numbers start floating around in your head. Rent, car payment, credit card, insurance, subscriptions, groceries somehow costing more every month. And you ask yourself a strange question. If my life is improving, why does it still feel like I'm running in place? That feeling isn't rare. In fact, it's becoming one of the defining emotional experiences of the modern middle class. And the strange part is that nothing about it looks like a failure from the outside. It looks like success. But what if that appearance of progress is actually something else entirely? What if a lot of what we call moving up is just a very convincing illusion? For most of our lives, we're taught a very simple story about financial progress. Study hard, get a stable job, earn more over time, upgrade your lifestyle gradually. It's a narrative that feels logical, almost comforting, because it implies that if you're working, earning, and improving your lifestyle a little bit each year, you must be doing something right. And in many ways, you are. But there's a subtle misunderstanding buried inside this idea. We tend to measure progress through visible upgrades: a nicer apartment, a newer car, better vacations, a kitchen renovation, a bigger TV on the wall. These things are easy to see, easy to compare, easy to post online. But real financial progress is rarely visible. It doesn't show up in your driveway. It shows up in numbers most people never talk about: net worth, savings rate, debt levels, financial flexibility. And the uncomfortable truth is that two people can live lives that look almost identical on the surface, while their financial realities are completely different underneath. One person might own most of what they have. The other might be renting their entire lifestyle. And that's where the illusion begins. Let's talk about something we rarely frame this way: payments. In modern middle-class life, payments have quietly replaced ownership as the default way we experience things. Cars are monthly payments. Phones are monthly payments. Furniture can be monthly payments. Even education often becomes a decade of payments. Even vacations can be payments, spread across credit cards you promise yourself you'll handle later. Individually, each one seems manageable. A few hundred here, another few hundred there. Nothing that feels catastrophic on its own. But over time, something subtle happens. Your income grows, and your payments grow right alongside it. You get a raise. The car gets upgraded. You move to a slightly nicer neighborhood. Your furniture improves. Your subscriptions multiply. Your expectations quietly rise. And suddenly, your life looks significantly better than it did 5 years ago. But financially, the margin between what you earn and what you owe hasn't really changed. Sometimes it's even smaller. That's the strange paradox many middle-class households experience. Their lifestyle progresses, but their financial position barely moves. It's like climbing a staircase that slowly turns into a treadmill. You're definitely walking, but you're not actually getting higher. Psychologically, this system is incredibly powerful because humans are very sensitive to relative improvement. If your apartment today is better than the one you had before, your brain registers that as progress. If your car feels like an upgrade, it reinforces the sense that you're advancing in life. And socially, these signals matter. We're constantly comparing ourselves to coworkers, classmates, neighbors, not consciously all the time, but subtly. The human brain evolved in communities where status signaled safety, influence, belonging. Today, those signals often appear through consumption: the watch, the car, the neighborhood, the school your kids attend. None of these things are inherently bad. The problem is when they become the primary way we measure whether life is improving. because visible progress isn't the same thing as structural progress, and the financial system around us quietly encourages this confusion. Loans make expensive things feel accessible. Monthly payments make large costs feel smaller. Advertising frames upgrades as rewards for working hard. And suddenly, the line between "I can afford this" and "I can make the payment" becomes blurry. Very blurry. Now, here's where things get more interesting. This illusion doesn't just affect spending. It affects how people emotionally experience their entire financial life. Imagine two individuals earning roughly the same income. Person A has a modest apartment, an older car, and a lifestyle that doesn't look particularly impressive. But their expenses are low, their debt is minimal, they save consistently. Person B lives in a nicer place, drives a newer car, and travels more often. Their life appears more successful, but their monthly obligations consume most of their income. If something unexpected happens, job loss, medical issue, economic downturn, their financial system becomes fragile. From the outside, Person B looks like they're winning, but internally, Person A might sleep better at night. This is one of the quiet psychological divides in modern finance. Financial peace and financial appearance often move in opposite directions, and many people don't realize it until years into their careers. There's another layer to this illusion that's even harder to notice: time. Debt doesn't just affect money, it affects the future version of your time. Every payment represents work you've already committed to. That car payment, it's not just money, it's hours of future work already assigned. Same with credit cards, same with large lifestyle commitments. When enough of those commitments accumulate, something subtle happens to your sense of freedom. Your job stops feeling like a choice and starts feeling like an obligation you can't easily step away from, even if you don't love it anymore, even if the stress is growing, even if you've started wondering whether you want something different, because the payments are waiting. This is one of the reasons the middle-class illusion can feel so exhausting. You appear successful, but your flexibility slowly shrinks. The ladder you climbed becomes the structure you're locked into. So, where does the turning point happen? Usually not during the early years. Early career upgrades feel exciting. Your first real salary, your first apartment that isn't tiny, your first car that actually feels reliable. Those moments are meaningful. But eventually, some people start noticing a pattern. Their income increases, yet the sense of financial breathing room doesn't. Promotions come, but stress stays the same. Lifestyle improves, but anxiety doesn't disappear. And that's when the deeper realization begins to form. Progress isn't about how impressive your life looks. It's about how much control you have over your time, your choices, and your future. Real progress often looks surprisingly quiet. A growing emergency fund, debt slowly disappearing, investments compounding in the background. These things don't photograph well. No one posts screenshots of their debt balance shrinking, but structurally they change everything. Because every dollar that isn't owed to someone else increases your flexibility, and flexibility is one of the underrated forms of wealth. Once someone sees this clearly, their decision-making often shifts, not in a dramatic, extreme way, but in subtle ways. They start asking slightly different questions. Not, can I afford the payment, but what does this payment cost me in freedom? Not, does this look like progress, but does this improve my long-term position? Not, will people think this is impressive, but will future me be glad I did this? These questions change the trajectory of financial life more than almost any budgeting technique, because they shift the definition of success, from visible upgrades to structural strength. In real life, applying this mindset rarely looks dramatic. It might mean driving a car longer than most people around you. It might mean living in a place that's comfortable but not impressive. It might mean resisting some upgrades while your income grows. Not because you're trying to be extreme, but because you understand something many people eventually learn the hard way. Every permanent lifestyle upgrade quietly raises the cost of your future. And the higher that cost becomes, the harder it is to step away from anything in your life that isn't working anymore. Your job, your schedule, your location. Financial flexibility is what turns options into real possibilities. Without it, options remain theoretical. What's interesting is that people who build this flexibility don't feel deprived. In fact, many feel the opposite, because the absence of constant financial pressure creates a very different emotional experience of money. When your expenses are lower than your income by a comfortable margin, life starts to feel lighter. Unexpected costs aren't emergencies. Job changes feel less terrifying. You can make decisions based on what you want, not just what your payments demand. That shift alone can dramatically change how people experience work, family life, and even time itself. And the irony is that from the outside, these individuals might look less successful than others. But internally, their financial system is much more stable. The middle-class illusion of progress isn't about blaming anyone. The system around us is designed in a way that makes this pattern incredibly easy to fall into. Credit is accessible. Upgrades are constantly marketed. Social comparison is amplified through technology. It's a powerful environment. But once you see the pattern, you start noticing it everywhere. People with impressive lifestyles, but constant financial stress. People earning high incomes, but feeling trapped in jobs they can't leave. People upgrading faster than their financial foundation grows. And you also start noticing the quieter path some individuals take. Slower upgrades, more ownership, fewer obligations, more breathing room. Less visible progress, but much stronger long-term stability. If there's one comforting truth in all of this, it's that financial progress doesn't require perfection. It rarely comes from one dramatic decision. It usually comes from small shifts repeated over time. Spending slightly less than you earn. Letting raises increase your savings before your lifestyle. Paying attention to debt not just as a number, but as a claim on your future time. These choices might not feel exciting in the moment, but years later, they compound into something incredibly valuable: freedom. And maybe that's the most important realization of all. Progress isn't about keeping up with the version of success we see around us. It's about quietly building a life that gives you more options, not fewer. More breathing room, not more pressure. More control over your time, not less. That kind of progress doesn't always look impressive, but it feels very different when you wake up in the morning. And in the long run, that feeling might matter far more than the illusion we're often encouraged to chase. Because real progress isn't loud, it's quiet. And it shows up slowly, in the growing space between what you owe and what you actually own. Not perfect, just steadily moving forward.